And joining me now is Republican Congressman Michael McCaul, the chair emeritus of both the Foreign Affairs and Homeland Security Committees in the House. Chairman McCaul, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with what is happening in Minneapolis. Is it appropriate for the DOJ to open criminal investigations into the mayor and the governor? I
mean, it's a federal offense to impede a federal investigation, like what we're seeing in the streets right now. I think that is very uncommon to go after political figures like that. I think it may be more of a statement more than anything else, but we'll see. I think what's happening in the streets of Minneapolis, though, I think we need to, on both sides, start calming down the rhetoric. I'm glad the president did not invoke the Insurrection Act to throw our military in the middle of all of this. Just sort of escalated the violence.
He still says he might. He's just not doing it now. And you saw that Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, accused Walz and Frey of, quote, engaging in terrorism.
No.
I mean, that's not turning the temperature down.
No, it's not. It's not. And they have federal law enforcement training at FLETC in Georgia. I think maybe some need to go maybe have some enhanced training. This is a very volatile situation. We've seen an over 1,000% increase in assaults on ICE officers, 8,000 verbal assaults on them. 7 out of 10 of these arrests, though, are criminal aliens. And if you look at who they're targeting in Minneapolis, because it is a sanctuary city.
Criminal aliens, they're criminal because they're here without documentation or engaged
they're aggravated felons. I mean, they've arrested murderers in Minneapolis, drug traffickers. How did we get here, right? I passed ICE into law when I chaired Homeland a decade ago, bipartisan, overwhelming support. How did we get to this point? I think the prior administration let millions of people in. Mayorkas disregarded federal law, which says you shall detain aggravated felons, and instead told his agents you can release them. So now we're dealing with all these aggravated felons throughout the United States.
You're a former DOJ official as well.
Right.
6 prosecutors, as you know, in the Minneapolis U.S. Attorney's Office resigned in protest of the fact that they were beginning to investigate Renee Good's wife, but they weren't conducting any investigation whatsoever into the person who shot her.
Yeah. I can tell you the practice when I was there is you look at the whole scene, the whole crime scene, the whole investigation, which in my judgment should include, both looking at, the federal law enforcement officers' actions, but also Ms. Good's actions. Whether there are civil rights violations. I think that's why they resigned.
Because you have it seems like everybody's under investigation except for the person who actually pulled the trigger.
There are a lot of equities here. I think the job of the investigator prosecutor is to look at the whole crime scene and then determine where do you have predication to go forward with a potential indictment. And I think that's why they resigned.
And when you look at it, it's not only that there is no criminal investigation, but you have seen the Vice President of the United States. You have seen Stephen Miller, the Deputy Chief of Staff. Both of them have come out to say that ICE has immunity. Vice President Vance said absolute immunity. So the message is not only you won't be prosecuted, but hey, whatever you do, you're covered.
Well, that's not accurate. I mean, if there's a unlawful use of force, that is something that can be prosecuted under federal law. I would say there's also
so to be clear, when you say that's not accurate. I mean, it's accurate that they said this. What's not accurate is
they don't have full immunity if they violate the use of force laws. But at the same time, people who impede a federal investigation don't have immunity from that either. And I think that's part of the problem. They have these barricades they go into effectuate a targeted arrest, and then the protesters come in. I think it's unwise for them to come in to do that. So this is obviously the rhetoric's gone way up. It's time to dial it back.
So you've seen all the videos that are constantly coming out of what's happening in Minneapolis. Let me just play one of them. This was an incident with a woman who was, kind of driving into a situation. She was going to a doctor's appointment, apparently, and is obviously confused about what's going on. But look at how the ICE officers deal with this woman who says she is disabled and is telling them that she is disabled and is on her way to a doctor's appointment. I mean, what do you think when you see this kind of stuff?
Now, the optics are, let's be honest, not good. They go through federal law enforcement training on conflict resolution, how to deal with that type of situation.
I mean, they smash the window of her car, they cut her out, they throw her to the ground.
It appears to be a little overzealous, but what about the actions of the murderers and the drug traffickers? And
those are horrible, but that's not our government.
Let into this country by Joe Biden
Yeah.
and Mayorkas. What about the rights of average Americans from people like that? And finally, on this door-to-door stop thing, there's fundamental constitutional criminal law 101 is a Terry stop. You cannot stop a person without reasonable suspicion a crime is being committed. So, but if you're impeding a federal investigation,
you can't just stop somebody because you think they look like they're an undocumented immigrant. You have to have a reason.
That would not be constitutional.
So in the just short time we have before we're done, I want to put your foreign affairs hat on. What do you make of what's going on with the president in Greenland? And now he slapped tariffs on 8 of our allies in Europe. He's not ruling out military force to get Greenland. What is going on?
Greenland has been looked at by presidents since we purchased Alaska. It is very strategic right now from a national security standpoint against China and Russia. But in 1951, we signed a treaty with Denmark that allows us full access to Greenland to protect Greenland. And this was after World War II. President Truman initially was involved, and then Eisenhower. And the fact is, the president has full military access to Greenland to protect us from any threats. So if he wants to purchase Greenland, that's one thing. But for him to militarily invade would turn Article 5 of NATO on its very head and, in essence, put us at war with NATO itself. It would end up abolishing NATO as we know it, an organization that has lasted for over 4 to 5 decades and protected us from world wars. My father was a bombardier in World War II, and it's worked to prevent world wars.
And as you have just said, there's actually no reason to because we have access to the island.
We have
a treaty
full military access. And if we want to put more military in there, we can. We don't have to invade it. If he wants to buy it, that's fine, but I don't see a willing seller right now.
All right. Chairman McCaul, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.